We are 2 minutes off the top of the hour, so let's give it another minute. And this is being recorded, so people can watch it at their leisure. Go up the slides, Courtney.
Are you pulling them up? Okay.
I'm trying. Let's see.
I can see your screen.
Okay, and
I'm
I'm not in presentation mode yet, though, right?
No, you are not.
How's that?
You are in you're in presenter mode where we see the back end of it and not necessarily the slides moving forward. So you
Okay.
want to go to zoom into slide, I believe.
Zoom into slide.
Go, yeah, over to your left. Or you know what, go up to the top and go to display settings and see if there's a full screen option. See show taskbar, display settings, in slideshow.
Okay. Oh, there we go. Display settings. How's that?
There you go.
Okay, great. Oh, hang on. I just got a chat from Alex, so I think that is. Alex says he can't unmute.
Okay, 1 minute. Sorry, Alex. Oh, well, I don't know what you're. Aubrey, can you still see Alex? I cannot. Oh, there we go.
Yes.
There we go. I've just asked Alex to unmute.
Okay. Message.
There you are. You can see him.
Can you hear us, Alex?
But we can't
Yes.
hear him.
Ah,
there we go. Now we can hear you.
Yes, now I'm able. Thank you.
Very good. Well, we will get started. And again, this is being recorded for those people where 8 a.m. on the East Coast is not a convenient time. They can watch it at their leisure. We have with us, as you heard on the phone, Alex Vieira, who is our AADOCR president. So Alex, I don't know if you'd like to say a few words before we get into the presentation.
Yes, it's very exciting for me to be here. I am a member for 20 plus years, and back in those days, we did not have the chance to connect like this and start knowing the community much earlier than going to the actual annual meeting. So welcome to our membership. We value you very, very much. You're very important. We are like all other professional organizations, we need our members to be engaged. We need our members to keep growing. We need the new generation to be on. This organization we're going to see, hopefully, is very unique in the sense that the membership really shapes the course of the organization, the way the annual meeting works. So there are plenty of opportunities for you to network, to engage with the organization of the meeting, to participate very actively. So I'm looking forward to see you in New Orleans. Welcome, and I hope you enjoy the next few minutes of Courtney and Chris going to give you the scoop of what's going to happen next week. But welcome.
Great, thank you, Alex. And we have disabled the chat function on this Zoom, but we have the Q&A just so we can just keep all the questions in one spot. So go to the Q&A if you have any questions along the way and type in your question. And we have staff on the call, as you can see, and they may be able to answer the question as we go along. But at the end, we'll have plenty of time at the end, and we can review all those questions if you have any questions about what's going to be happening next week. So, and my slides are advancing on the Zoom also?
Yes, they are.
Okay, thank you, Courtney. And the mission of IADR is to drive dental, oral, and craniofacial research for health and well-being worldwide. Our vision is oral health for the world through discovery and dissemination. And we have a value statement that's centered around 3 core areas: scientific excellence, social responsibility, and scientific community. So we value science conducted at the highest possible level of rigor, innovation, and ethics across disciplines, from discovery science to clinical implementation to global population health. We feel that we have a social responsibility and that we value the pursuit of science to improve health and well-being for all people, to reduce health inequities and inequalities, and to proactively take actions and positions to improve health. And then scientific community, we want to support you, our members and new members, as Dr. Vieira was just saying. We value a diverse and inclusive scientific workforce, promoting work-life balance and supporting educational activities and mentoring networks to develop the next generation of scientists. Here is our IADR president, Ophir Klein. He is based at Cedars-Sinai in Los Angeles, which it's 5 a.m. there, so obviously not an appropriate time for him to be joining, but you will see him next week in New Orleans for sure. Here is our IADR board of directors with the president, Ophir Klein, and our leadership changes at the conclusion of the meeting. So at the conclusion of New Orleans, Satoshi Imazato from Osaka, Japan will become the president. Pam Yellick from Tufts in Boston will become president-elect, et cetera. And then Professor Klein becomes immediate past president. We have our treasurer, David Drake from Iowa, 2 editors-in-chief. I'm going to go over the publications in a little bit. And then it's very important for IADR to have regional representation. So we have a regional board member from the 5 different regions of IADR, which I'll go over in the next slide as well. And we also want to make sure we have a voice of young investigators. So the winner of the Young Investigator Award automatically is offered a position on the board. So we have 2 of those representatives on the board as well. We break the IADR world up into these 5 regions: the Africa, Middle East, Asia Pacific, Latin America, North America, and Pan-European. And then within each of the regions, you're either a division or a section. There's not much difference between a division or a section other than size. So to form a new section, you need at least 10 or more members. And to become a division, you have to have 50 or more members. And here is our membership as we were at the end of 2023 with about 8,500 members around the world. Our largest region is the North American region, which is driven by AAD-OCR being the largest division in IADR. And then our second largest region is Asia Pacific region. Now in 2022, the Asia Pacific region was actually the largest region of IADR because it ended up being a virtual meeting, but the original plan was to have a meeting in person in Chengdu, China. And that really drove membership as well as participants in the 2022, what ended up being a virtual meeting, which I don't know if anybody is on from Asia Pacific region, but we actually ended up running that meeting, even though it was virtual, as if we were in China. So we had staff, some of the staff you're seeing here online, working overnight from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. to make that meeting happen. So you have a very dedicated staff, I'd like to say, to the new members and first-time attendees. We also have a program. We want to support research in all areas of the world, including in low and middle income countries. So we have a number of programs to facilitate that, including a tiered dues structure so that the investigators from what the World Bank classifies as a low or middle income country pays a lower membership fee and a lower fee to come to the meeting than those in the high income countries. And another program we have is this Adopt a Member Fund. If you have the capacity to do so and you're in a high income country, you're able to give an additional amount on top of your annual dues, and those dues or that additional fund goes to pay somebody else's dues in a low or middle income country. We have a number of benefits. So it's not just the 1 week that we're together in the year, but it's throughout the year. And I'm going to go over some of these benefits shortly. So thank you for becoming a member if you're a new member or this is your first time attending a meeting. One of the great benefits of IADR is the IADR community. So this is like a chat function, but it's just amongst IADR members. So you can pose a research question, you can reach out to try to find a collaborator, issues you're having with a laboratory experiment even. I mean, you can post these things and get feedback from the rest of the IADR membership. We have a webinar in CE On Demand library. And we're increasingly changing this focus to be more on the webinar side. So our scientific groups and networks will host webinars throughout the year, and then we'll host them on our platform, and that's going to be available to members at a later point to view that webinar. And those of you who are also clinicians and need to maintain CE, you can get CE credit for those as we participate in the ADA CERT program. These are our scientific groups and networks. So we have 25 scientific groups and 10 networks. A proposal coming up next week at IADR Council for a 11th network. But I would hazard a guess that no matter what area of research you're in, you're going to be able to find a scientific home within IADR. And the scientific groups and networks, we often say, but it's very, very true, that they're the backbone of the IADR. Because when you submit an abstract to IADR, which many of you have, that gets reviewed through the groups and networks, and they have representatives called a group program chair that does all the programming, what becomes an oral session, what becomes a poster session, who's a keynote, etc. So all of that work is done on a volunteer basis through the officers of the scientific groups and networks. And that's a wonderful way to get involved with IADR, if you're new, is to attend the business meetings of the scientific groups and networks. Now, some of them are virtual this week, but a lot of them are still going to be in New Orleans, and they're typically on the Thursday and Friday night. So go through the app, which I'll get to in a minute, and find the business meetings. And if one of your if the group that you're most interested in is having a business meeting, they're all very, very welcoming. So nothing is confidential or invitation only for the business meeting. So show at the business meeting, and they'll be delighted to see new members and first-time attendees at those business meetings. We have 2 journals. Our oldest journal is the Journal of Dental Research, which is 103 years old, 104 years old at this point, founded in 1919. The editor-in-chief is Nick Jakubovics, and it's very highly cited. So in the impact factor world, we're usually either number 2 or 3, sometimes 1, and depending on what was published in the last couple of years. But it's really one of the highest impact factor journals in a multidisciplinary journal. So it's not just focusing on one area of dental, oral, and craniofacial research, but it's very multidisciplinary, as is our membership and as is our meeting, which is one of the major advantages that our organization has that you're not going to find in any of the specialty meetings. So you get the cross disciplines at our meetings, in our journals, and in our membership. So very highly rated. We have 13 issues a year for JDR. There's usually a special issue over the summer in addition to the monthly publications. And then our newest journal, which we launched in 2016, is the Journal of Clinical and Translational Research. And here the editor-in-chief is Jocelyn Fine from McGill University in Montreal. And it's a long process to get an impact factor. We finally got an impact factor last year, and it was did very well with an impact factor of 3 for a relatively new journal. And it's in sort of peer journals within clinical and translational research areas. I won't mention the journals by title, but we're in a very good position with this journal as well. And at the moment, we're publishing this quarterly. And both Nick Jakubovics and Jocelyn Fine will be at the New Orleans meeting. So if you have any questions about publications or your research, whether or not it would be interesting for our editors, feel free to have that conversation with them in New Orleans. We have a number of awards and fellowships. You'll see a lot of that next week in New Orleans, particularly at the opening ceremony, where these are only eligible to members for the most part, with a couple of exceptions. But we have over 40 awards in different categories. The Distinguished Scientist Awards are geared more towards people at the mid-career to tail end of their career, which are sort of recognition awards for sort of a lifetime of work within a specific area. But then we also have almost all the other awards are focused at the student level and the mid-career, early career level. One of the highlights at an IADR meeting is the Hatton competition, and this is in 3 different categories: junior, senior clinical, and senior basic science. All of the divisions of IADR are eligible to choose winners at their own Hatton competition, and then they go on to compete at the international competition. For those of you on the call from AADOCR has their Hatton competition right before the IADR Hatton competition. So the winners of the AA Hatton competition go on to compete in the IA Hatton competition. And the winners will be announced at the opening ceremony. So that's another good reason to attend the opening ceremony, because it adds a little bit of excitement to our opening ceremony. The app, I would, if you haven't done so already, you can also go online and look at the online program. But when you're actually in New Orleans, there's really almost nothing printed at the meeting. So you really need an app on your iPhone or Android device or iPad to be able to navigate through the meeting. It's really an excellent app. This year, we've struggled with vendors in the past with these apps, and some of the companies kind of come and go before we're able to really take advantage of it. But this year's app is fantastic, and kudos to Courtney and Christopher Flo and others in the HQ that identified this vendor and have worked very hard to get the program up on this. It's very, this is the QR code if you haven't downloaded it already to do so, but you can search across any categories. You can search by keyword, so your area of research, you can find out what's being presented at the meeting. And you can also do this online on your laptop or desktop if you have that as well. But this is very important because there's a lot of science. It's like a fire hose of science coming at you from Wednesday through Saturday. And you really need to plan your sessions in advance, otherwise you'll just be overwhelmed. So really spend some time between now and next Wednesday, the 13th, and go through the program and see what you really want to be attending. In addition to what you will be presenting yourself, I assume some of you have presentations also, but then make sure you take full advantage of the meeting. And again, you can search the business meetings. Many of the business meetings, whether they're having them, or many of the scientific groups and networks, I should say, also have receptions. And those, again, are open events. So in your area of science, it's a great place to network. One of the major advantages of an in-person meeting versus the virtual meetings we've been having for the last couple of years is that networking, which is, almost impossible to replicate on an online platform like now. So take full advantage of all the networking opportunities as well. There's a nice reception after the opening ceremony. And then the scientific groups and networks have receptions as well as universities will have many of the universities host their own reception also for alumni of their group. So that may be a little bit more closed to those with affiliations to those universities. But hint, I've never seen anybody thrown out of a reception. So if you want to go find somebody from University of North Carolina and you have no connection to it, go there, introduce yourself, and I'm sure you'll be warmly welcomed. So here's what you can check the app for. Most importantly is the scientific schedule, and get that organized for yourself. There's actually a calendar function within it that you can add things to your program so that then when you're walking around the corridors in New Orleans, you can check your app and see what's next and what room it's going to be. Actually, the room location is really cool. Also, if you don't know where the room is, you click on that on the app and you get this little map that pops up with a red arrow that pops down and shows you where to go. Opening ceremonies and award presentations, that's going to be on Wednesday. The DLS, I'm going to get a slide on the DLS Distinguished Lecture Series speaker in a moment. Then symposia, workshops, lunch and learn sessions, and oral and poster sessions. Also, we have in the same hall with the poster sessions, we have an exhibition hall. It's mainly universities, but these are the universities that want to come and show off the science that is happening at their university, but also residency programs, fellowships. They may be looking for postdocs. So if you're in the job market also, it's a great place to network also, to walk around and meet people from the different universities. And then a small number of commercial exhibits as well. And that's also a great opportunity to talk to the companies about the science behind their products and what science they have to document their various claims that they make, either whether it's a professional product or a consumer product. One of our past presidents, Tim Wright, often says that this is worth the price of admission alone. The DLS speaker series is really not to be missed. No matter what your area of science is, these are people at the top of their field in different areas of science, but they pitch it to a general scientific audience. So don't worry about if you come to Barbara Burton's presentation and you're not in head and neck cancer. It'll be pitched to a level that you'll be able to follow, and it's really going to be outstanding. So Paul Welton, who is actually based in New Orleans, he's not from New Orleans, but he's now at Tulane University, and he will be speaking on prevention, control, and treatment of high blood pressure and the way forward. And he's done a lot of work with the WHO on blood pressure campaigns around the world. Barbara Burtness is a professor at Yale University, and she's very well funded from NIDCR on head and neck squamous cancer. Squamous cell cancer, I should say. And then Yuka Yernville from Helsinki. We'll be talking about evolution and tooth development, and that's gonna be a fascinating talk as well. So I guarantee you'll love all of these DLS speakers. They're in the main New Orleans theater where the opening ceremonies will be. So if you find your way to the opening ceremonies, you'll know that that's where we have the DLS series in that same room, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, 9:45 to 10:15. And these are plenary sessions, so there's nothing else going on. We don't have any posters or orals happening at the same time to make sure that most of the membership is able to see these outstanding speakers. So I urge you to attend these. And then it's never too early to start planning for next year. So as you're going around the poster hall and the oral sessions and working on your own research ideas, to be thinking about, what can I be presenting that's going to be of value to next year. So next year in 2025, at least from the HQ point, we call these split meeting years. So we have a separate AAD-OCR meeting in March and then a international meeting in June. So when the IADR meeting is outside of North America, we always have a separate AAD-OCR, CADR meeting in the US in March. So there's always a meeting in March in the US, sometimes in Canada, so we say North America. And then every other year, the IADR is outside of the US. So last year we were in Bogota. Next year we'll be in Barcelona, which really reminds me I should have improved my Spanish for both the Bogota and the Barcelona meeting coming up. And then the important deadlines to pay attention to are to propose a session. So these are the symposia or the hands-on workshops or lunch and learns. That deadline is in September of this year. So it comes up quick on you right after summer holidays for some people in the Northern Hemisphere. And then the abstract submission deadline is in October. You can see those dates there. And then for the international meeting in Barcelona, Spain in June, that session proposal is still early. It's October 29th. For the June 2025 meeting, and an abstract submission deadline just after the first of the year, January 24th. So if you have any questions, that can be directed in addition to the Q&A in this session. You can always email us at research@iadr.org. You can go online and see if you can find it on our website, which also has a nice search function to find things, and also feel free to call us at any time. So I want to. And you can also follow us on social media. We have accounts, handles, whatever they're called, pages, groups in LinkedIn, X, formerly known as Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube channels. So that completes my presentation. So I'm going to stop sharing and then see if we have anything that's come in the Q&A. And let's see. Oops. I don't see any open questions at this point. So were there any questions that came in that I missed?
No, there were not.
Okay. And does anybody have a question online that they'd like to either type into the Q&A, or can everybody unmute themselves, Courtney, or do they have to ask permission, or how does that work?
Please raise your hand if you have a question so we can ask you to unmute if you would like to ask one live.
And that's down at the reactions tab at the lower. You can raise your hand. Is that where that is?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, there it is, Dr.
Okay.
Fox.
I'm just demonstrating. I know how to raise my hand.
Yes. Okay.
It takes me a while.
All right.
Okay. Any questions from anybody? Well, thank you for joining us this morning. Again, this is recorded, so if any of your colleagues missed it and you found anything of interest or valuable, please feel free to direct them to the recording. Where would they find that, Courtney? The recording of this?
The recording will probably either end up in the webinar platform or on the meeting webpage. So you always want to make sure you're checking back at the meeting webpage.
Okay, let's put a note in the community also.
Yes.
Okay, great. I'm not sure if Alex is still. Oh, he is. Yeah, Alex, any closing remarks? Professor Vieira, I should say, as the AAD-OCR president.
No, just thank you for your time. Thanks, Courtney, for all the support in the name of the headquarters group, and welcome everyone. Looking forward to see you in New Orleans, and please stop by to say hello. The opening ceremonies will all be there.
Great. I'll let that be the closing word, and see everybody in New Orleans next week. Thanks so much. Oh, thank you.